Did anyone else hear that?
What?
Nope.
That was weird.
The cat noises?
I don't know what that was. That was weird. Anyways.
I have
It's NASA.
in the background.
NASA's coming in and shutting this down.
NASA's like, we're here to talk about aliens. We have to shut this down right now. I'm sorry.
Just like, no more.
All right. Let's get started here. Welcome to the Rockhound Podcast. This week we have a guest from NASA. If you want to go ahead and take it away.
Hi, guys. I'm Dr. Caitlin Ahrens from NASA Goddard Space Flight Center and a postdoctoral researcher with the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter and a bunch of other missions.
Wow, that was a mouthful.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Welcome.
For being here, Caitlin. And I'm Karen from Ozone Adventures, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for tuning in. If you are a returning viewer, and also those of you that are new, thank you so much for dropping by for this very special podcast that we have going on. And let us know where you're tuning in from, be it somewhere here on Earth or out there somewhere. How about you, Kyle? Or Kurt, rather.
Oh, I was like, you just skip me.
No.
My name's Kurt with Rock.Hounding.Adventures out in Western Colorado. I almost said Ozone Fine Arts. Yeah, so Theo?
My name is Karen, and my channel is Ozone Fine Art Ventures.
Come aboard. Sweet.
And of course, you guys know me as Mild Kyle from World of Rockhounds, and that's our intro. So, Karen, do we have any shout-outs before we get into how everyone week was?
We had a bunch of folks in our last stream for the live chat from our podcast, shouting from all over the states. And to tell you the truth, I totally didn't keep up. I saw Ohio and Romania dropped in, and Florida and Idaho, California, and so the usual suspects were in the house. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, fan mail keeps on coming in for Kurt's hair.
Oh.
And that is international still from all over the world. Yeah.
It didn't change. I was going to do a monkey tail, but I'll do that next time.
Speaking of international, Caitlin, just a quick question for the space station. Do they get YouTube? Because that'd be super cool if someone tuned in from freaking space.
It really would, wouldn't it? I don't believe they have as much internet as you think that they might. They do have very limited streaming services. We did allow them to watch Game of Thrones when they were up there, and we allowed them to watch some of the Star Wars movies before they were premiered here on Earth. So they were actually able to watch those videos before the rest of us Earthlings.
Nice.
That is so cool.
Nice, that's cool.
Watching Star Wars in space.
Okay, exactly.
And they can't give away spoilers, so there's that.
Also true. The problem was, no popcorn in space, though.
Oh,
that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the chaos in Zero G?
Oh, all the popcorn just floating around. Oh, it would be pure chaos, but it would be so much fun.
It would be, oh yeah.
With butter. Yeah.
It'd be so much fun.
So how was everyone's week? Let's go ahead and start with you, Caitlin.
Oh, goodness. Well, I should have gone last. NASA has been incredibly busy because we just got what's considered the Venus hat trick, which means 3 Venus missions have now been confirmed. 2 from NASA and 1 from the European Space Agency. So that's a lot of Venus missions that are now currently starting this week in the planning stages to then launch and get to Venus by 2030. So it's been a very celebratory week for us NASA people of like, we're finally getting a mission to Venus. It's been over 30 years since NASA has sent anything to Venus. So it's about time.
That's cool.
Wow.
That's so
So-
cool.
Will you play any card as far as studying the volcanics or anything like that on Venus?
I will happily be awaiting on the sidelines for all the cool pictures to come in and going, where's the volcanoes? So yes, as a planetary volcanic person, I am happily waiting on the sidelines, but it's gonna take a few years. So I'll stick with Pluto and Mars and everything else.
The solids until it gets there.
Yeah, exactly.
30. Nice. Would I be next? Great week. It's the coast here is we call it January, and so we're having Jupiter style storms here right now. Actually, like it's June and I'm wearing a sweater. Why? 'Cause, yeah, it's like 20, 30 knot winds and squalling outside right now. So
Which means it's gonna be time to go to the beach here soon. Then.
yeah, there might be some late season pickups on the concretion zone. Come on, everybody to the ozone. How about you, Kurt?
Let's see. Well, Manistee Rocks came down on Monday, so we've been hitting up some rivers and some locations over in Utah and here in Western Colorado. So you guys will see videos on that. Wait, what are we talking about? Are we talking about future projects or?
Yeah, either
How
word.
was your week and future
Oh,
projects?
how was my week? Okay, good. Yeah, I was like, I'm talking and it's like, wait, are we supposed to be talking about future projects? Never mind. Yeah. So yeah.
I'm the
Will
one who's
with
supposed to be
Manistee Rocks,
spacing out over here.
He's on the space station already.
Yeah, apparently.
My brain is. But yeah, Will with Manistee Rocks came down to Colorado from Michigan, and we were hitting up the rivers and so forth. So hopefully in the next couple weeks, you guys should be able to see those videos roll out, which will be awesome. As well, Jody and Jewel from This Rocks also came down from Nevada, so that's gonna be a blast.
That's cool.
So yeah, so that's pretty much what's been going on this past week. But what about you, Theo?
I went out and took some friends to a spot. Two of them are really getting into rock hunting, and the other one is actually was going to school for geology, but now doesn't have time to ever go out rock hunting anymore. So he gets to go out like once a year. So I took them up to the Pryor Mountains where fossils and agates and jaspers and crystals and all sorts of really cool stuff just abound. You can just collect rocks and fossils to your heart's content and have so much that you will not have any more room for anything within an hour if you are, not being very picky. So it's awesome because there's like really, really nice jaspers, like rainbow colored jaspers and nice agates that have quartz crystal pockets inside, some of which are smoky and smoky amethyst even in that area too. But all of that stuff is sitting on top of an fossil oyster bed, Jurassic oyster bed. So it's so cool. I mean, you're finding like oysters by the million. Like seriously, you could fill a 5-gallon bucket with oysters in like 30 minutes if you just picked up everything you see. And on top of that, there's belemnites, which are fossil squids, and crinoids are out there too. Like it's a magical place, and if you can only get out once a year, that is the place to go. And it was a blast.
Oh, I want to go now.
It's
I
awesome.
know.
It's so cool.
Take us, Theo.
If any of you find yourselves in Montana, I would gladly take any one of you to the Pryors.
I will email you. I really want to go now.
Yes, it's amazing. It's so cool.
And then for my week, I'm actually, it was ahead for once. I have had this week's video uploaded last week, and just basically had to sit and wait. And it was just it It'll be my show and tell too. It's just some rainbow lattice sunstones from Australia.
Just
I didn't go
stop
there.
it.
It's just
I know.
I didn't get to go there.
Hey.
I bought them online.
my show and tell has
It's
to do with
still
Australia
so
too.
rare. Yeah.
But it's and then I'll cover future projects here in a minute. But yeah, it was nice to actually have something caught up and just kind of work on some other stuff in the shop too. But for future projects, who has what going on that is willing to disclose those projects?
I'm doing thin sections on that. So more fossil kind of identification and getting a closer look for those that don't have really super superhero eyes that can't see real close to things. So, yep.
Still waiting on that aspen.
More shrubbery.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping to find something bigger, better, faster, stronger. I actually have an interesting specimen from Kurt that he sent from Kentucky, right? And I'm taking a thin section of that, and we'll have a look at all the little creatures that you sent me in that little fossil sample. Yep. You'll remember.
The crinoid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
It's
It should
been a
look fun
while.
under the microscope. I haven't.
Oh yeah, that's been really cool.
Yay.
Really, really cool. I can't wait to see that.
I don't know. There's like everything looks more fun under a microscope. So, why not?
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my future projects, and everybody gets to have a look as soon as I create the video. How about
Nice.
you? How about you, Kurt?
Well, like I said a second ago, Manatee Rocks and Jody and Jewel from This Rocks came down. So the next probably few weeks I'll be editing some videos because each day I took 1 to 2 videos. So there's gonna be a lot of editing and very cool pieces to cut up and on the saw and polish, and so that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing for future projects for the
Nice.
next few weeks. So
Nice.
Was it sunny out when you were doing that?
it was. So there's a few fires going on around already, the sky is kind of smoky. So it's sunny, but it looks extra sunny because of how the smoke kind of enhances the glow.
Yeah.
as-
Actually
as-
good for photography sometimes.
Oh yeah. like this evening, it was so golden. The sky was so golden, but I didn't have my camera. The camera was dead, so I didn't get any pictures. But it was sunny, kind of cloudy, and really hot. It was over 100 degrees, which I don't know how I survived that growing up in Texas. But yeah.
When you shave off your beard, I wonder if there's going to be like the
Take a tan line?
Oh, I hope so.
Possible. It's
I really hope
like,
so.
It's probably gonna be like that for about a week, and it'll come back. Like that's a good point.
Oh my gosh, we have to do that now. Science experiments. Don't shave
Yes,
it. Keep
in the
it
name
like
of
that
science.
until August, and then you shave it. All summer with that. Let's get an insane tan line.
Yeah. Oh my
That's
gosh.
funny.
So I saw a video. This is completely unrelated to Rock County, but I saw a video of a guy. He was out working in his garden with a face mask on and forgot to take his face mask off and got super sunburned. So his face is all red, and then he has like a white circle right here with white lines going across. He's like, I don't know how I'm gonna go to work like this. Yeah.
Wow.
I thought that was pretty fun.
Nice.
So, what about you, Theo?
I'm still fascinated, actually. I pulled out some of my bigger rocks to play around with, like, it's going to be in a video coming soon, but I'll give previews. It's fine. I have a big glass clear chunk of vibrantly blue aquamarine that is going on a dock tomorrow, and it's going to be beautiful.
Nice.
It is a beautiful stone, and it's like that big. and
No way.
it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be so good.
Can't wait to
And
see that.
other than that, I have a bunch of chunks, like I don't know, like that big, some smaller, one bigger, but Larimer that I'm gonna be making a bunch of cabs out of.
Nice.
Other than that, yeah, just mostly faceting still, and obviously my normal slew of editing that I'm constantly doing.
Life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes.
Editing is like at least 40% of my life at this point.
Sounds like somewhat philosophical, you know? Nice.
And I guess my project, I mean, for those that do watch the podcast, my dinosaur play button will not be the only one. There's more coming.
Nice.
Can we handle that?
I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna try to do like different reveals for each one. But I'm gonna try and make a. I have one more definitely in the works, and another small one coming.
Wow.
I have some other ideas that I'm gonna throw out there and see what happens, and who knows. That's where I want to leave that.
Well, with that said, are you gonna be like the mineral play button channel that's gonna start sending out mineral play buttons to different channels?
I mean, I don't know yet. We'll see. Part of me is like, that would really, I mean, it would be kind of cool, but at the same time, it would kind of suck if YouTube's like, hey, can you make us play buttons for like certain channels? And I mean, it would be a cool opportunity, but I'd probably have to say no.
Oh yeah, it'd be a lot of work, and
I'd
be like,
I mean,
yeah, YouTube can afford it.
Yeah.
I mean, if they really wanted to pay it, yeah, sure, then probably. But like, you know, if they give me like deadlines, I'm like, sorry, I'm not doing deadlines. Like, I have other stuff going on. If they're like, hey, we need this done in like 2 weeks, I'm gonna be like, no. I'll see you in 2 months. Ask Theo in the Maker's Challenge.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Before we go any further, Caitlin, did you have any like special projects that you're working on this week?
This week I am having to jump back and forth between my lunar work and a little bit of Mars work that is getting wrapped up, and a little bit of Pluto. So just kind of hopping around the solar system this week. Oh, and Ceres. Yeah, I need to do some Ceres asteroid work this week too. Yeah, that's the thing on my to-do list. Add that to my itinerary across the solar system, and there we go.
Nice.
And then back down to Earth.
This is a normal week. Yeah, I'll eventually get back to Earth for dinner, you know.
That's awesome.
Need to eat at some point. This is a normal week for me. So, yeah.
Well, we can actually start delving into some of the questions that we got for you. Karen, if you wanted to start it with yours, we'll go down the line here.
Sure. Actually, my question spurs out of my dad actually was part of a team that worked on the Viking one.
Oh, Viking. Yeah. Oh, lovely.
And so, he worked with HP and JPL and helped with both of the landers. And we had posters on our wall with the arm, reaching into the sand. And that was so inspiring. And I wanted to ask you, what inspired you to get into this particular line of work and pursue this as a career?
I'm going to sound a little bit cliched here, where I got a telescope at a young age. You look through the telescope and go, "Ooh, space!" And I just immediately fell in love with that. But originally I was a radio astronomer for a couple of years during my undergraduate years, and I pursued an astrophysics degree, and I really enjoyed geology, and so I added a geology degree as well, and completely fell in love with my mineralogy class, and then really got into the structural geology and volcanism, a little bit of seismology work too. And so I landed a position at the USGS out in Arizona. There's an astrogeology facility out there in Flagstaff.
Yeah.
And my job then was to look at Mars Global Surveyor data to try to pick apart the data and figure out like what kind of minerals can we see on the Martian surface. And from then on, it was like, yes, okay, I did not realize that this was a career at all at the time, but it's like, yep, okay, I'm in, I'm sold. Let's get right to this. And so got my degrees. I have a PhD in space and planetary science, and just kind of snowballed into just doing all sorts of stuff across the solar system. So my PhD was on Pluto, but my undergraduate years was Mars, and now I'm all over the place.
Nice.
That's so cool.
That's
I
awesome.
know.
That is
Wow.
crazy.
I got my PhD on Pluto.
I legit brought myself into a title for the longest time. I was known around the university and around town in Arkansas as the Pluto manager, because I managed the Pluto laboratory at the University of Arkansas. So that was my job title for the longest time, and my nickname. I still have people from Arkansas email me going, "Hey, Pluto manager," and it's like, that's me.
Wow.
It's really interesting to hear how people like what they did, or like how they got interested in a certain subject at a young age, and then continue to pursue that into their adult life.
Mm-hmm.
I just never grew up. It's still space.
Yay.
Yes.
Yay.
Don't do it.
You with your NASA shirt. Woo!
Yeah. I wore the proper attire today.
I got like little spacemen and planets on me.
I'm just wearing a black shirt.
Yeah,
As
the
black as
blackness of space. There we go.
Come on, get some paint and just flick them on here and get little stars going. I don't know.
There you
there you go.
There you go. But the wonderful thing about Viking is that we're still using data from Viking. Viking is still a very valuable instrument for us, even though the landers are obviously not working anymore. The data, we still use it. So you know.
I'll tell my
Yay.
dad.
Yes,
He'll
please do.
appreciate
We
hearing
still
that.
we still use Viking data. Yeah, it's very important. Yes.
Cool.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
Totally. Kurt, I believe you are next in line for your question.
I'm next. I was wondering if there has been any new recent discoveries as far as new minerals or rocks found on Mars.
Excellent question, and the answer is yes. So about 6 or 7 years ago, I was actually at a Mars conference. Lo and behold, yes, we do have planetary conferences across the world. And so this one was a Mars conference out at Caltech, and they brought us all into the auditorium, and like we have this announcement before public release, and you Martians are gonna hear the news. And we had discovered 2 new minerals on Mars. At the time, using try to compare it to Rover data, but we actually found it in Martian meteorites, and never before seen on Earth. Completely different chemical compositions, and we still don't know how to even recreate it in the laboratory setting. So it's completely fascinating that we found 2 new minerals on another planet that just happened to land here on a meteorite.
So cool.
Crack it open, look through a microscope and go, well, that's weird. So one is called Tisentite and the other one is called Ahrensite.
It's probably spelled with a TS, right? I'm assuming.
Tisentite?
Yeah.
Tissinite.
I mentioned it's like spelled with like a TS for some reason. I don't know why.
Tisentite, and then Ahrensite is easy because it's my last name, Ahrens, and then ITE.
Oh,
Nice.
But I was not the Ahrens.
Oh, I was going to ask, did you get to?
Like, That is
So
awesome.
it's like the pay dirt for everyone.
It was very awkward walking through the conference and people see my name tag with Ahrens and they're like, oh, and I'm like, I probably would be like completely distantly related to the Ahrens that it was named after, but no, not me personally. Nope. Life goals though, we'll see.
Yeah.
I have actually named stuff in space though, so that
Oh,
has
nice.
actually been an
totally
achievement.
counts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that counts.
on the list.
I have 5 things named in space so far, so
Congratulations. That's awesome.
thank you. Yeah, naming things in space is much harder than people come to realize, though. But I have a dune field on Mars. Disclosure here is that they're completely there's rules to naming things in space, so I can't just name it after my cat or something like that. I can't name it after myself either. So there's rules. There's a 90-page PDF rule book that we have to abide by of naming things in space.
It's the government.
Actually, no, that's the fun part. There's a whole committee. There's an international committee specifically for the Planetary Nomenclature Committee. So they are completely an international entity for the purpose of making sure we can name things properly in space and not name them after your cat.
Or like some TM, product, like Coca-Cola.
Exactly.
This dune is sponsored by McDonald's.
Yeah.
this crater impact sponsored by Taco Bell. Look at that.
Yeah.
What's that over there? Oh, it's the Gnome Plateau. Oh man,
Yeah,
I'd probably get in trouble quite a bit.
The paperwork is awful though. Just oh goodness, but it's been well worth it. I've named quite a bit of stuff on Pluto, including a very large glacier on Pluto too. So very excited about that.
That is so cool.
I would have named it Titanic.
A sinking glacier.
Oh, that's dark. I'm sorry.
Yeah, too soon.
Too soon. Theo,
but for all you nerds out there, the Pluto's moon Charon has a very dark pole, and we named it Mordor. So if there's any Lord of the Rings fans out there, there is now Mordor in space.
That makes me so happy.
There's a lot of
Hilarious.
nerd stuff that we have up in space.
Oh,
A lot.
I feel like I'm in the wrong field.
Join the dark.
Yeah,
Life
the dark
wasted.
side.
So, Theo, what questions you got?
So me being the rock nerd that I am, and as into jewelry making and faceting and cabbing and slabbing and all that good stuff, how is gemology is like being one of my big interests is how is that comparable on Mars to Earth? Like, is there actually like gemstones as we know them on Mars, like agate, for example? I don't know if the geology would be right for agate to form, or if we would even know that, or like opals or something like that.
So I'm going to go with yes and no.
Okay.
So unfortunately, agates cannot form at Martian conditions.
Okay.
Agates, you would need a very specific pressure and water.
Right.
Mars did have water, but not the correct pressure conditions to do agate, unfortunately, though. But the exciting part that we have found is that there are not only opal on Mars, but there's actually opal fields on Mars. So there's actually very specific. Yes. And I even sent you a picture of one of the opal fields. So we actually call this one of the crowning jewels of Mars. This is Noctis labyrinthus. So this is near Dallas Marineris, that really big scar across Mars. That's actually where the most pretty gemstones would be to cave for on Mars. That's where most of what we thought may have had a really beautiful mixture of not only water, but also basalt and a lot of volcanic rocks as well. So you're not only having opal at the time when Mars had water. You could also have salt fields as well. There's gypsum fields on Mars. So those do some really cool, weird types of geology. I also sent you a picture of Ias Chasma. So it looks very squiggly looking, and that's actually all the gypsum and the salt interacting with the rock, and it makes all the really cool, pretty patterns.
That is so cool.
It's gorgeous. And another cool thing too is that olivine as well. There's a lot of olivine because of all the lava, all the volcanics that would have come out to it. Now, whether it's considered gem quality, maybe not, because it would be really quite tiny. But who knows? We haven't really dug deep, though. There may be bugs, for all we know, that of material. We just don't know yet. A rover can only do so much.
Right.
So, we keep building more, bigger, powerful, stronger rovers, though, but they can only take so much as far as rocks go. Once we start sending astronauts to Mars, you better send up a geologist, and they're going to pick out all the rocks.
Right. Exactly.
You gotta send a Rockhound too. Like,
can you imagine?
Yeah.
It's doomed. Like the thing would never get back. It would be too heavy. Like,
oh, nonsense.
Just one more. It's like just one more.
That would certainly be the tragedy, right? Like, I want to keep all the rocks. Why can't I take this one home?
There are no leverites.
Right. Pretty much.
But another cool thing about Mars that we found out that there was water on Mars is what we have here on Earth are the Moki balls.
Yes.
Yeah, the iron concretions, we have them on Mars, all over the place. We actually call them Martian blueberries, which is another picture I had sent you earlier.
I love that.
So we call them blueberries because our spectrometers are very special cameras that hone in on the infrared wavelength of rocks. Because we can look at a rock and go, yep, it's brown rock, cool. But a spectrometer hones in on the infrared signatures of rocks, so they can look purple, they can look green, they can look pink, they can look yellow. Every mineral has its own different color combination, and hematite shows up very blue to the spectrometer, so we call them blueberries because they look like little blue blueberries on Mars. But
so cool.
You don't want to eat them.
Yes.
If Jared was here, he'd be like, "Don't lick rocks, don't lick blueberries."
Totally.
I'm drinking it with my tang.
Yeah, that's. I had to ask because I knew about the opal fields recently because of Kurt, because of you, and but I don't know. I don't obviously know enough about Mars geology to know what kind of conditions would be right for gemstone formation. Obviously not precious gems, by semi-precious gems, but that's really exciting to hear about olivine on Mars. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, there's some gorgeous just what we perceive to be olivine and pyroxenes. There's the potential to have labradorite, which is an interesting feldspar surprise. There's quite a bit of feldspar. Yeah, there's plagioclases, and we haven't officially confirmed that there's labradorite, but there's at least strong signatures of feldspars, and the conditions would actually be correct for labradorite. So by all means, if we can find a Martian labradorite, I'm sold.
I was just about to say that is absolutely in my top 3 favorite rocks category. So as soon as that gets confirmed, I might be changing professions at some point.
Astronaut.
So I'm going to need me some Martian labradorite yesterday.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just mostly clay. And then most of our mineral knowledge is not only with rovers, but also just with meteorites in general, though. So we kind of have to go back and forth between what do we know from meteorites, and then the rovers are just constantly we talk about licking rocks, the rovers are eating the rocks and zapping the rocks. So there we go.
Science.
Smarter Every Day has an awesome video about that, actually. I will send you a link, Kyle.
Okay.
It is absolutely fascinating what the rovers do. So what I like to describe how the rovers do it, though, is that not only do they eat the rocks, it's the rover nose is in the stomach. So we ingest and sniff the rock at the same time. What we do, though, is that there's lasers in the belly of the rover, and it essentially like cooks the rock, and all the vapors that come off the rock then get sniffed. And sniffing the rock vapors tells us about the chemical composition. And there we're able to figure out like, oh, this is a sodium-based sulfate, or is there calcium involved? There could be calcite, gypsum, muscovite, or is it iron-based? And then is it magnesium-based? So is it pyroxene? Is it plagioclase and stuff like that? So it's a very interesting system. And then if it doesn't like the rock, then it'll just kind of go plop back to the surface. Just kind of poop it out. It's fine.
I'm feeling a new sticker come on here. You know, don't lick rocks, but you can sniff them.
Yeah, sure. There's a beautiful bumper sticker of like my other car zaps rocks on Mars. I actually have that bumper sticker somewhere in my office.
That is so niche.
That's wonderful. Like, yes, let me zap all the rocks, please.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I would love to just have a rock sniffer here, you know, like just go and find out. Yeah,
I can just picture Jared in the live chat saying, "Stop! Don't sniff the rocks either."
I'm gonna sniff them.
Not all rocks are safe.
I'm sniffing them.
No,
I have laser beams in my stomach.
No, I can confirm that not all rocks are meant for sniffing, and I have a very quick few second story. One of my poisonous rocks, I didn't know it was poisonous at the time. I sniffed it, and I could smell sulfur for the rest of the day.
Oh man!
Don't sniff rocks.
No. Bad joke. Yeah.
And that rock is now in a glass
kids.
container. I'm
very wise.
Even though I'm still alive, don't do it.
Don't do it.
No licking or sniffing.
I like.
Just ask yourself, what would Jared do?
It's weird. I like the smell of sulfur, and I don't know why. And so I'm like, oh man, this rock smells really cool. Reminds me of fireworks. my geologist friend's like, you shouldn't even be touching that.
I'm now seeing fireworks. So
you know what? If you love sulfur so much, I would recommend to you the moon Io around Jupiter. It is a sulfuric moon and constantly erupting with very oozing volcanoes. You would love it.
So
Caitlin is a travel agent as well.
Where would you like to go through this whole thing? Do you want beachside resorts? Go to Titan, the largest moon around Saturn. Do you like ski slopes? Go to Pluto.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my question would be, I mean, if you are able to disclose any of this information, you know, if you can't, let us know. What are the odds of bringing back rocks and/or mineral specimens back from Mars in the near future?
I define near future.
The next couple of years, I guess.
Oh goodness. So probably not next couple of years. So what the rover is doing currently, the Perseverance rover is doing is setting up the next step. So if Perseverance loves a rock that it has ingested, what it will do is that it will put it in a little containment system with a little tag. And it's almost like a geocache that we're actually setting up on Mars now, where that sample is now going to just sit at the surface. And then our next mission is going to be a robotic retrieval system where it's going to essentially find all those geocaches and plop them into a rocket and send it back home.
That's cool.
So
yeah,
are we
Theo
going to
wants to be on
eventually
that
send...
mission.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's going to be so exciting. So geocaching on Mars, here we go. But sending people to Mars, no, we're not ready at all to send astronauts to Mars. As much as we would very much like to, and we're very much excited to. Our main focus is to get astronauts back to the moon first. Try to set up more of a scientific base at the moon, and then let the moon be as a stepping stone toward Mars eventually. But there's still a lot of kinks in the system that we're still trying to figure out, because Mars is not a forgiving planet at all. You have global dust storms that completely block out the sun for months. You also have radiation problems as well. So, yeah. And that dust is very statically unforgiving as well. So it's going to stick to everything. So that's not good for
Gritty.
our suits as well. So we're actually working on suit technology right now to figure out how to have less sand and dust get stuck on you. So that could get interesting.
I mean, you would think with the way that VR has gone in the last, I don't know, couple of years, you would think that they'd be finding a way to use the VR technology towards even remote controlled robots, so that you can have like, not, I don't want to say android, but like a humanoid controlled suit where someone can control from either Earth or the moon, and they can actually have technically someone being on the moon with actually being on the moon.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, it's been 47 years since we've sent astronauts to the moon. It's about time we sent people back to the moon. So the end of this year, at least early next year, we're going to start sending. We actually NASA has a large plan of a couple landers and rovers to go to the moon first. Before we send our astronauts for the Artemis program. So Artemis program, for those of you who don't know, is essentially the Apollo program 2.0. So all of our latest technologies, sending astronauts back to the moon, we're essentially just upgrading the Apollo program into this new system. So this is the Artemis generation now. So, woo.
Nice. I think we asked... Oh, no, we didn't ask all the questions yet. There's questions.
More questions.
There's more questions. There's more questions after all the questions too.
Does anyone else want to ask Jared's questions?
Yeah, I can ask the
Jared's
first one.
Him. Yeah.
So Jared is currently Rockhound. He's the gentleman that was on last week for episode 14. His first question was, since Mars is almost entirely basalt, and after its formation, the planet was a mass of molten rock that eventually cooled to form a static crust around a rocky mantle. Is it likely that
Pyroxene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pyroxene. Okay.
You already mentioned.
I'm horrible at pronouncing words, so that word and crystals formed within the basalt.
Yes, it's just a matter of when. So that's the fun part about volcanics on Mars, is that they happened very, very early in Martian geologic time. So they would have happened at least 3.7 billion years ago. All of the water and the clays and all the gypsum happened later. So any pyroxenes, any of that basaltic material would have happened very, very early. So if it had weathered into secondary minerals, into other weathered materials and stuff like that, then we have a better understanding of like what's the better eroded areas and what's the worst eroded areas on Mars, though. But volcanically, yep, pyroxene is there in patches.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to, it's a hard concept, I think, to wrap one's head around, that Mars has the same kind of date-wise geology that we would have, different time zones. And of course, you'd be tracking those things and watching what happened. And yeah, I don't know, for some reason that's kind of a mind blow. Like, of course there would be like some different epochs and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, we have, Permian, Ordovician, and Devonian, and so on and so forth. But we have geologic times for almost every planet. Obviously, you can't do that for Jupiter and Saturn and Uranus and Neptune because there's no surface. But if you have a surface and you have different kinds of geologies, then you can kind of piece together like what's considered old, what's considered young. Even the moon. We have created its own what's called geochronology. So we have its own geologic time setup. We have the Martian geologic time setup. Venus is weird, so we don't have one yet. Mercury, I'm pretty sure we have one. I think. I think one is created for Mercury. Mercury is kind of ignored, though. So yeah, poor Mercury. It doesn't really get a lot of love. So
It's probably
if
a little
anybody
too
loves
close to
Mercury out there, then say so in the chat.
It's probably a little too close to the sun. That's probably why.
A little bit. But there's graphite on Mercury. That was something that we didn't expect. So pencils from Mercury. Woohoo!
They're fast. Yeah.
just no wood.
What are there any corollaries that you find in the geologic history of Mars to say Earth? Like, are there any things that you can kind of line up and find corollaries for?
I'd love to say yes, but that's one of the things that we're still trying to figure out. Is Mars would have had to had a very active core and mantle to produce such freakishly large volcanoes. Mars has one of the largest volcanoes on not just on Mars, but the entire solar system. It can swallow. Bragging. Yeah. Oh yeah. The base of Olympus Mons can swallow the state of Arizona.
Wow.
It is that big. Now it's called a shield volcano because we have shield volcanoes here on Earth, and so in mythology times they thought the gods battling in the heavens would drop their shields onto Earth because it looked like a fallen shield. And so when we got to Mars, you have this big giant bubble looking volcano, and it's like that's a really big shield volcano. And the lava flows on this thing just span for hundreds of miles across the surface. I mean, this thing would have erupted over and over and over and over again. So having that kind of dynamic with the mantle. Now, we don't really fully understand if there would have been plate tectonics on Mars. That's still kind of a mystery to us. To compare it with Earth. But comparing the volcanic systems, at least, and how like the mantle would have been gushing and forming these volcanoes, and how the volcanic systems would have worked, and calderas and collapsing and everything, all that's very comparable. Very, very comparable. We use Earth a lot. A lot of us planetary people go out to the field. Most of the volcanic systems in Iceland and Hawaii are very similar to volcanic systems that we suppose on Mars, which is great. We even have a giant volcano book that we use.
I love that. Daddy, get me that book.
That's a big book.
That's awesome.
This is what I use for weightlifting.
That's
awesome.
Yeah,
so we definitely, and that's all Earth volcanics, but we planetary people use it a lot to flip through and go like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Or maybe it doesn't. Which tends to be the thing of like, well, what the heck is going on here? Because Mars no longer has an active mantle anymore. It no longer has an active core anymore. So something actually would have had to slow down the core and mantle of Mars. And that's terrifying, actually.
Right.
We don't know. We don't know what happened to Mars for it to just kind of go shutdown mode.
And is it a harbinger of the future for us type thing?
Yes.
Poor planets, we're lucky. We're absolutely lucky to have a very active core and a mantle and an atmosphere and everything, though. But poor Mars is well, all of us on Mondays, it's dead on the inside. Then you have Uranus spinning on its side. You have Venus actually spinning on top of its head. Its north pole is pointing south. Poor Venus. So what happened there? Yeah.
Wow. The whole thing that you just were talking about with the shield volcanoes and everything lends itself very nicely to Jared's second question, actually, if you got that on deck.
Yeah. So his second question, what?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Second question, I didn't hear what you said.
That was the second question, was just what?
Let's ponder about that, shall we? so philosophical here.
That should be a shirt. I have a question for you. What?
That's heavy, man.
Sorry, I only deal with the how.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Gonna use that.
Yeah, sorry about that. So the second question was also, what is the likelihood at this point, knowing what we know about Mars, to find andesite?
Yeah.
What?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Andesite with a higher silica content. And if andesite is found on Mars, can we assume that other minerals that occur here on Earth with andesite, such as biotite and muscovite, will also be found?
Yes, absolutely. So yes, there is a probability of finding andesite. We do have a little bit of clues here and there that there is andesite. Probably not biotite, not that I'm aware of, not currently anyways. But muscovite, yes, there is definitely muscovite, gypsum, all of those really pretty minerals there. As far as silicas go, the other part about high silica content that now we're trying to figure out now is, could there be other types of quartz? So I don't mean amethyst, citrine, or anything like that, but high pressure, high temperature forms of quartz. So cristobalite and tridymite. We have found tridymite on Mars, supposedly, and but could we find like cristobalite? And that could give us a means of like, oh, the temperature and pressure would have been very extreme in this particular point in time to form this mineral at this location millions of years ago. And that those minerals would probably be around the volcanic areas. But
like
we haven't.
Snowflake opal kind of thing, right? Because
That would be cool.
cristobalite makes a snowflake obsidian, so it would be like snowflake opal and whatnot. Maybe.
Oh, that would be cool.
Wouldn't
Probably. I don't see why not. That would be really cool.
I want some.
Yes,
Dibs.
that would be
Sorry.
so pretty.
Yeah. Keep going. Sorry about that.
Oh no, it's all good. But yeah, absolutely. So we do have we have all sorts of really pretty minerals. We have also found olivines and pyroxenes also in meteorites as well. So is this a matter of, did they come from, that's the tricky part too though, did some olivines and pyroxenes come from Mars, or did they come from somewhere else? Because olivines and pyroxenes could actually come from the asteroid belt as well, in the form of meteorites. So those are very, very pretty as well. There's a specific type of meteorite called a palisite, which I actually
She's got one.
I got one. I'll show you guys. I'm gonna try not to blind myself.
Should we lead into
pretty.
show and tell then? If you're certain.
Yeah.
Sure. So I'll just show it normally though, but this is a palisite.
Ooh.
So on this here now, I'm actually pretty jealous because that is actually on my wish list for my for the rock room.
Getting chills.
Oh, fantastic! Yes. So most meteorites are given either a code number, depends upon their locality where they were found, or they're given a name. So this one is called Palosovka from a specific region in Russia. It was found in 1990. But it's a very interesting gem quality that I'm going to try not to blind myself with the flashlight here. I just realized I'm using my powerful flashlight here, so this is a mistake. But
Oh, no way.
That's
Oh,
Yeah, that's
beautiful.
cool.
Oh, gosh.
That's amazing. I'm getting chills.
Now,
this is just
I
very
know.
fun.
That's
No.
so cool. So
Oh.
beautiful.
That is awesome.
Close encounters.
Well, what's cool is that you guys just saw olivine from the asteroid belt.
Oh.
So this
Oh.
particular beauty came from what we think might have been from the middle of the asteroid belt. So the inner, middle, and outer parts of the asteroid belt all have different fingerprints, is actually what we call them. Different fingerprints of iron and isotopes. And if anybody's asking, like, how can you tell if a meteorite came from like the moon or Mars or the asteroid belt, is because of that fingerprint. So we use lasers again to sniff the meteorite, and we look for two specific fingerprints. One is nitrogen and the other one is oxygen. We look for very specific fingerprints of oxygen and nitrogen, and sometimes hydrogen, but that doesn't always work. But oxygen is the telltale sign there. Mars has a very, very specific oxygen type that nowhere else does. So we automatically know if any meteorite has that oxygen fingerprint, we know it's a Martian meteorite. The asteroid belt doesn't have that much of an oxygen fingerprint, but it does for nitrogen and hydrogen. So it's all in the fingerprint.
That makes a terrific asteroid belt buckle, you know.
Oh God. I would be afraid.
No.
Not my meteorite. No.
Sorry.
Be sure to send me a picture of that, because I got pictures of the Mars stuff, but definitely send me a picture of that meteorite so we can make sure that we can throw it up there post edit.
Yeah, that was a crazy light show.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was awesome.
Meteorites are wild. By all means, I'm happy to come back on at a later time and just talk meteorites.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yep.
We may have to invite Jared the next time.
I know. Yeah, totals.
I was thinking about that earlier. Like, it's too bad he was camping and like, you know,
I know.
looking at rocks. I'm sure that he'd be like on in a heartbeat, like, oh yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, so whenever you come back, we have to have Jared with us because
Yeah.
And more
he would
space
be loving
questions.
this.
Yeah.
Yes.
More space questions.
Of course.
Do you have any other show and tell items by chance?
Who, me?
Yes.
Oh, always. Always, for sure. So do you know what a tektite is?
Mhm.
Yes.
Then?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So I love tektites. So my favorites are from Mongolia. So this is actually a pretty big, nice glassy piece. It almost looks like a worry stone though, because it has a nice curve
Oh, nice.
to it though. So that's I keep that near my desk for space stuff. Otherwise, I honestly just have like a bunch of like, yay, we're going to Venus, yay. Pictures. I have a random picture of Pluto here as well. This little Dorito shaped glacier here is the glacier I got to name on Pluto.
Wow.
So awesome.
What did you name it?
I named it Barre Montes. So Montes meaning mountains in Latin, and Barre was the first woman to circumnavigate the globe.
That's
Oh,
cool.
I love it.
So
that's
mountains
cool.
on Pluto have to be named after historical voyagers.
Nice.
So I figured, you know what? Pluto doesn't have a female name on it yet. We're going to go with it.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So it's, and I published a paper on it too. So you guys are happy to Google Barre Montes and read the
I'll
paper
definitely do that.
about this,
Yeah,
this
seriously.
poor innocent glacier that has battle scars on it.
No, it looks like a Dorito.
It does look like a Dorito. Up close, it's all ridges and everything. And so what happened was this glacier would have actually been ripped apart and then floating down Pluto and then squished and smashed up against the water ice beaches and rippled from the effect. So it has battle
So cool.
scars.
Wow. Would it
Yeah.
be taking erratics with it and stuff like that? I mean, do you guys know much about the geology there? Are there geology in the glaciers? Yeah, she says, yeah.
So the cool part about Pluto is that it's all ice. So no rock, no iron or anything like that. It's all ice. But it's not just, you know, when I say ice, everyone thinks probably just water ice. But you're dealing with methane ice, which made the ridges. Methane ice is very brittle. So it's easier to make ridges out of methane. All this squishy stuff here in the heart of Pluto is all nitrogen. It's very flowing And then there's methane ice. All this dark stuff is more methane. There's carbon monoxide ice as well.
Wow.
Which does some really cool, weird stuff on Pluto as well. And there's also cryovolcanoes on Pluto too. So that's been fun to work with.
Cool.
That's an icy mind blow. I didn't really thought of all the different kinds of ice. Yeah, that's awesome.
And I got to do that for my PhD. I actually got to collaborate with the New Horizons mission as part of my PhD. So I was very much immersed in Pluto ice and Pluto geology for 5 years.
That is so cool.
That's so
And
cool.
look at how giddy she still is after
Yes.
getting her
That's what I love.
PhD on it.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Well, to be fair, I don't think you get a PhD in a subject if you're only tolerable of that said subject.
I've seen some people pretty bashed down by their chosen
That's
subjects.
true.
They're like,
Yeah. I'll give you
I
that.
mean, I was definitely there a few days where I was just like, can I just run away and just bake cupcakes for the rest of my life?
something warm.
Please. Yeah. Trust me, every grad student feels that way for sure. But it is definitely well worth it. So if there's any grad students listening in, you can do it. You got this. It's well worth it. Keep going.
The schooling is only temporary. It's just the career is what will last a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Send me a picture of the Tektite and the Meteorite, and also a link to the mountains. That way we can have that in the description of the video.
Read my boring research paper.
We're
Okay?
going to. I love white papers.
See, Karen, you're next for a show and tell. What you got?
I don't want to go after her. Just kidding. Her show and tell like has blasted like all show and tells forever. I also have a meteorite. See, she's like all brr, and I'm like, hey, look at me. But I have one too, and so I'm sending in some pictures so that when I'm talking right now, you can see that there's the meteorite closer, and then there's the meteorite even yet closer. Check out the little black dot, because we're going to follow that from 40x to 100x so that you can see what this meteorite looks like close up. Yeah.
The more pictures, the
Everybody
better.
likes to see it through that thing instead of these things, right? Okay.
You guys are making me jealous. I don't have any meteorites.
That's okay. No, don't look for it if it's not there. Did anybody fall while we were on the podcast? Something might have fallen.
Listen, I have some mystery
Space.
metals, but I don't think I actually have any meteorites.
You've done
Hey,
good
I'm there
show
with
tell,
you.
Kyle.
I have one, and it's like this big.
I got 3 or 2,
Ooh.
but they're really small. They're moldavite, but it was before the moldavite thing blew up, and I don't mean blew up, but like the prices in moldavite blew up.
Have
So
skyrocketed.
one of them set into a piece of jewelry, and the other are just like the size of peas. But I don't have those with me right now for show and tell.
That's actually funny that you say that, because I was actually going to bring one of my big pieces of moldavite for show and tell.
Oh, you totally should.
I should have.
Next time. Next time.
Yes.
Next time.
Yeah, she's
Yes,
coming
next
back.
time.
See, now I kick myself in the butt. I actually almost did buy some meteorite from a live show, and it was actually a pretty good sized chunk. But for me, I want to get one of the meteorites that had the olivine crystals in there, and those are cool.
Yeah.
I want to be flashy, but those are very expensive too, and it's way out of my budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Kurt, you are next.
So for my show and tell, I'm gonna keep all of the stones that I found this last week to those videos that I'll be putting out. But a piece for show and tell that I do have. This is an awesome knife that Kyle made that I won for his 1,000 subscriber giveaway, which is super cool. So I'm sure you already have pictures of this, right?
Yeah, I can throw a picture in.
I don't know. I'm still waiting on mine.
Beautiful.
It hasn't arrived yet.
Pretty.
I think it got
Win.
lost. Surely.
Did you win, Theo?
I am a winner at heart. Okay, I feel like a winner.
Day.
No, I never win giveaways, so I was not surprised at all.
I never win either, and I was super surprised when I won that one.
When I did that announcement video, I did not mean to record my face when I was picking the winner. Like, that was a complete accident. And by the time I noticed it was too late, it's like, well, I can't go back and edit that out because that is the screenshot. Like, that video footage is in there. I can't take that out. And I'm like, but my reaction was legitimate. It's like, huh.
No.
But
yeah, I'm super pleased that I was a winner of the Dino Bone knife. So
now that you have it, how do you like it?
I love it. Like, it's super cool. I've actually, it's been wrapped up in the bubble wrap, but in my pocket all day. Because I don't want to like scratch it.
People are like, "Oh, hey, do you have a pocket knife?" I'm like, "Yeah, hang on 1 second."
It's so
Okay.
It's something definitely that I'm gonna cherish. Like, I'm probably won't ever use it as an actual pocket knife. It's just gonna be a nice piece sitting on my shelf. So it's definitely a cool piece to hold on to, and I deeply appreciate being the 1,000 subscriber winner. So
I appreciate the support.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Almost the beginning.
Yeah,
that is the downside about making pocket knives with stone handles. Because of the work that I do, it makes it really hard to want to carry it around. Like, I used to carry pocket knives all the time. I used to carry like at least 2 knives on me at most times.
mm-hmm.
But now I just have a Swiss Army knife pocket thing that goes into my wallet. It has like scissors and a little tiny knife and tweezers. And there was, I think, a birthday gift, and it's been awesome. But I need to find myself a proper stone to put into a knife handle so I can carry around, but nothing too nice where I'll feel bad about scratching it.
So you're not carrying around bubble wrap with it?
No. I had a really nice, I still have it. But I have a Petersite buck pocket knife that I had made, and I had a nice display case, and I figured, okay, it'd be really cool with like blue moss behind it. Bad idea, because moss has a little bit of moisture in there, and it caused the metal to rust a little bit. So it's mostly fixed now, but it's still sitting on the shelf because I don't want to ruin it. It was an expensive project, as most of my projects are. But yeah, I'm glad you appreciate it.
Yeah, I think like when I first like subscribed to your channel, I think you're like around 60 or 70 subscribers. And I was like, when I first saw you like post that video, I was like, I want to buy one of these so badly. And then like 140 subscribers later, I'm the winner of one. So yeah. Yeah. So but what about you, Theo? You have anything cool to show?
I had a hunch, mainly because I was told, but I had a hunch that opals would be talked about today. So I brought my big chunk of boulder opal.
Ooh,
Ooh.
That is a nice piece.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. And that opal crust on top is super thick, and I know it's not going to show on camera. I'll send pictures, but it's just vibrant, flashy. And there's another vein hiding right in here. And there's another one. Which side is it on? Yeah, there's like little seams on this side throughout the whole thing. But I'm going to need to meet up with someone who has a big slab saw, my good friend, Montana Rock Mom, and we're going to cut this cap off because I want this to stay the way it is. As tempting as it is, this is such a cool piece, just the way it is. It's such an amazing specimen. But the veins on the inside aren't really that big, like compared to the top. Yeah, exactly. So if I cut the top off, I can keep my specimen and then still reach the little veins that are actually like, small enough to not feel awful about cutting up. But yeah, when I heard that we were going to be talking about opals, it's like, all right, well, I got to bring my big opal. It's amazing. I love this thing so much.
After you cut that, you can send it to me. Yeah.
I was gonna say, Karen, I know who you are with Boulder Opals, so I'm sure you're liking me that.
That or else I'm gonna get your address. One of the other.
I mean, you can come hang out at the shop with me.
Okay.
Get to work.
Oh, no problem. I'll bring some concretions. I'll bring
Yeah.
a hammer. It's all good, man.
Hey, I'll prep some concretions for you if you do some silversmithing for me.
Dang straight. It's a deal.
While
All
Kyle,
right.
while Kyle is there cleaning the shop, right?
Yeah, organize.
Oh. Cinderella.
Well, I guess it just leaves me for my show and tell. Everything's still in the baggie, but sorry, a little ASMR.
Oh, God, don't I hate ASMR?
You hear
I
that?
hate it so much. I don't like it.
I want some outer space ASMR instead.
I have,
let's listen to like space noise.
I don't know what the term is for like the exact polar opposite response to ASMR, but that is me. Like every time it's just, stop it now.
Repulsion.
I hate it.
But yeah, I mean, I'll post some pictures here. But I got a bunch of rainbow out of sunstones. I bought some off on eBay. I mean, I can't afford to go to Australia. But yeah, I got multiple pieces here. I got a.
Oh, come on, closer with that. Like, can you just do that thing?
Hold on, I'll grab several. Don't drop it. Don't
Hear
drop
the
it. Don't
sound
drop it.
of dumping.
Yeah.
More
But
essay.
I got a bunch of rainbow out of
There we go.
sunstones.
There
And
we go.
There's another
Handfuls.
6 more here on the paper here, but I only had
Hard
one.
to get.
Yeah, because I only had one piece, and when we had Jesse on, I had taken a video. I was going to do a video instead of a picture, but I dropped the piece and I chipped it a little bit, and I just my heart sank. I mean, I could fix it. It's only a small chip on the corner, but I think I paid a lot of money for that one stone. I mean, way more than what I paid for all these stones. And trying to find a vendor in Australia that's willing to, work with you and ship stuff overseas ain't gonna happen. So, resorted to buying stuff off eBay. I could have paid $20 for this if no one else was bidding on it, but it was a little bidding war.
Those are dangerous.
I was bidding on three separate parcels, and there was one. It got to the point where I was like, okay, I just need to pick one, because at one point, like, I was outbid on every single one of them. I'm like, I just need to pick one and go for it. And at one point, I almost didn't continue. I'm like, no, I want the biggest parcel, and I won it. And now I am actually bidding on another piece of rock on eBay right now. I need to stop
During the podcast.
It's so hard to stop.
Oh, I'm bidding on some
Have
fire.
a problem, Kyle.
I know. I'm bidding on some fire obsidian, and I can actually say it now, because by the time this podcast gets released, I'll have to worry about someone else bidding on it. But we'll see what happens, because it's actually a pretty flashy piece, and some of the stuff that I buy online, like, I have no corals reselling if I really wanted to, because I didn't collect it. Because if you go and collect obsidian or fire obsidian, you're not really supposed to sell it, just because of all the claims that are out there. And so anything that I collect myself, either in the past or in the future, it's going to stay in my personal collection. Anything that I buy in estate sales that I've worked, different story. But I still hoard this stuff. I have a really hard time letting it go, because I did a piece for TikTok, and I'm sure some of you might remember the video that went out there. Not near as popular as Theo's video, but it's still.
I don't understand.
It was
shell and acid.
it was
Stupid shell.
but it was so popular, and there were so many comments of people like, how much, how much is it, what is it for sale? I got to the point where, like, I don't want to be mean or rude, but I can't keep telling people, it's not for sale, because it's not for sale. I almost sold it to Kurt.
Me.
That's family. That's not like selling.
But I'm glad I kept it. It's a very beautiful stone. I mean, I have some much brighter pieces, but I think it's just the intricacy of like the multiple layers on that piece that really set it off. And I'm sorry if you can hear Little River.
Hi, River.
little mini pterodactyl in the background.
Yeah. She's chortling like a river does. You know, like rivers do that.
But yeah, that's my show and tell. I'll of course I put in the comments, or I put in the video that I released. If people want to see some of these stones worked, I'll do a separate video on that too. But it was just a video of me opening these up and looking at them as up close as I could. In the current state that they're in, they'll look much better once they have been polished. But I'll get there. But yeah, that's show and tell. So before we get into words of wisdom, Caitlin, do you have any cool like space stories that you're willing to share with us? Cool, funny space stories.
There's so many. There's so many. Do you have a specific one?
Well,
anything.
I'm drawing a blank. Anyone else want to like throw an idea out there? I mean, I'm leaning towards the toiletry one, but
the toilet and the space
that's what I was leaning
like
to.
the boy.
Oh, there we
That's what I
go.
was leaning towards too.
A pin in the map for me there.
We got a fourth. We're talking about toilets.
Let's talk about space toilets. All right. So congratulations to the current astronaut class. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, they have passed potty training because it's not just so much of how to use the toilet. We have a replica of the International Space Station toilet here on Earth for them to figure out how to use, but also how to really use it. There's a bunch of components to it. There's hoses, and then there's a control panel with it as well. So be sure to know which button does what. And then also how to fix it, because goodness gracious, if something were to break down in space, we're not rocketing up a plumber to you. You're going to have to figure out how to fix it. So, but they have, so we nickname it potty training for our astronauts. So good job to the current astronaut class. Good for them. But yes, that is currently probably the most expensive toilet in the whole universe, is going around several times over Earth right now. So that gets very entertaining to say the least, though. But you know what? Astronauts have to do some really weird training as well. So good on them.
You mentioned earlier actually something about what they were sending up to the International Space Station also. That was really neat.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, in just a couple weeks, we're going to be sending up water bears, the cute little tardigrades, and baby squid up to the International Space Station. So we want to see how tardigrades react in low gravity. They're going to do just fine. The baby squid, however, though, we want to see how well do they move, specifically with just their tentacles and everything in low gravity.
Yeah. This is international sign for baby squid.
Apparently. How would they move in low gravity? It's going to be actually one of the very it's not going to be the very first aquatic creature. We have sent up tiny fish before in space, but certainly on a different scale. We've never sent squid up before. We have sent quite a few animals up in space before, even before the International Space Station. We would just kind of send them up on a high altitude rocket to simulate low gravity for just a couple hours and then send them right back down. And so we've done that in the early space race with the Soviet Union. We've sent dogs, cats, monkeys, or chimpanzees were the original. Cats didn't do so well.
I can imagine.
Oh goodness.
They're just not that kind of animal.
No, they're not. Dogs were so chill. Dogs were fantastic though. Cats not so much, because you figure you plop a cat down, it constantly wants to land on its feet because its internal head, it's like down is that way. well, when you're in microgravity, there's no such thing as up and down anymore. So this poor cat is just constantly wanting to land, and there's nowhere to land.
That conundrum is so funny.
That poor cat. Just like, goodness gracious. So we're not sending cats up into space anymore. So that was very much 50s and 60s there. But we've sent turtles, we've sent mice, we've sent spiders. We've sent different species of spiders to see how well their webs would do in low gravity. So those are actually very interesting. There's actually YouTube videos out there released by NASA that have actually live footage of how the spiders would move in low gravity. So we all gave them names. You got to give everybody names. I don't remember a lot of the spiders' names. Nefertiti was one.
There's probably a Charlotte, I'd imagine.
You would think. There's Elmo. There was an Elmo.
Did it affect their geometry? You know, the orb weavers love to, make this incredibly complex, by engineering standards web.
Mm-hmm.
So
the orb weavers hated space.
Like a cat.
They hated space. Oh, their poor webs were just a mess. They were an absolute bloody mess. They were just like, screw it, it's just there.
We're gonna catch up here anyway.
They're like, and there are no flies either, so.
Oh no, we fed them flies. That was actually a very important thing. Yes, we made sure to hydrate them. So we had a little humidifier with them, so that way they were able to catch water droplets in their webs. And we also gave them fruit flies. So no worry. We learned very, very early on, the very first spider we sent into space died very quickly because it was dehydrated, and we're like, oh yeah, duh, okay. so we learned then, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense, give it fruit flies and like little droplets of water, and it was fine.
Right on.
Well, speaking of insects, have you guys sent up a colony of ants before?
No, but that would be really, really fun to see how well they would try to do their tunneling in low gravity. That would be really, really cool. But no, we have not. I think they would be very scared if the ants got loose.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Flying fire ants.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, make sure they're like a really aggressive, poisonous kind.
If you're gonna do it, make sure it's bullet ants. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, that just sounds like a sci-fi Netflix series waiting to happen. Just
ants on the International Space Station.
Taking over.
But no, that'd be really cool to.
Astronauts.
I mean, if it was a successful experiment and they did get out, that'd be really cool to be able to see like what they do. I mean, one of the channels I watched Ants Canada quite a bit, and it's really cool to see all the different ant colonies. And I'm not really a bug guy, but to be able to see such a colony of creatures just come together and build something and pretty much take care of each other like that, it's pretty cool to see. But again, it'll also be interesting to see in space. I mean, if you put anything in space, it's gonna be cool.
Oh
yeah, absolutely.
What else can we send in space?
Trust me, I've gotten that question before. I've gotten questions of like, can we send a bear to space? And it's like, no, not quite. No. It'd be fun to send turtles again, like a different kind of turtle or something. Or turtles are very chill in space, though. Mice enjoyed it, so yeah, they were just kind of like, cool, okay, I'm floating. Neat.
Has there been any experiment that has a bird in it? Like that might be confusing.
No, so birds are actually not allowed because
birds weren't invited.
No bird allowed territory. No, because their bone structures are so brittle that they may not be able to survive even getting up into space, and so we would be afraid to even have their very, very thin bone structure even be put on a rocket, let alone even be microgravity. The problem with microgravity is you definitely got to have an animal that can either have small bone density but still thick. So like mice have fairly thick bones for its small size, but birds have very, very thin bones. And when you're in space, your bone structure, the calcium that's going into your bones actually stops, it's a very interesting adverse effect that we're still trying to figure out with our astronauts right now. So when you're in space, if you're only up there for a couple hours, then it's no problem at all. But there's astronauts out up there that are, 6 months minimum, usually for the International Space Station. And what happens is that their calcium just pretty much just stops. And so we constantly have to have them take like calcium pills and milk a lot. Drink your milk, kids. But for the astronauts, it can't keep up in their system. They pretty much urinate it out. So that's why we give them high protein diets as well, to try to keep as much iron in their system as well. So their iron stops and their calcium stops. So you may think like, okay, fine, you can healthy bones and go up into space, calcium stops. What's the big deal? Well, when you're in low gravity, your muscles also stop as well. So you could also get into muscle atrophy. We give our astronauts exercise equipment. So that's been very helpful. But you're also dealing with radiation. Surprise! Yay!
Yeah.
So we've all had bad sunburns because we're all geologists here. But that's the most amount of radiation that you're going to get naturally. If you break a bone, you're going to get an X-ray. Okay, that's probably the other worst radiation that you can get. And so when you're in space, however, even on the International Space Station, there's no protection at all. So they're getting X-ray and gamma rays from the sun just blasting through the space station, just like that. And so there's very minimal protection. There's some protection levels, but not much at all. So X-rays are actually just poke at your bone and just bounce off. Gamma rays don't care whatsoever. They're going to go through your bone. And so gamma rays, a year in space, will actually start forming little divots in your bones.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, we actually have seen that, unfortunately, though. So, and it's not very easy to reverse the effects. So astronauts really, really go through a lot when they are in space.
Wow.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, if anything, hopefully there's just like a lot more fun involved with it too, though. So, space, everybody.
You can fill those holes in your bones with fun.
Also, going back to things that don't quite function right with your body, can you tell us what astronauts also can't do in space?
Yes. So in space, you can't cry, you can't fart, and you can't burp. Mainly because here on Earth we have gravity, so all of your insides are pushing against your stomach, and then into your intestines to either make you burp it up or fart it out. But in space, all of your insides are floating inside of you. This is also a reason why we give our astronauts laxatives. But for crying, though, think about this. Your eyeballs are actually sitting onto your tear ducts because of gravity. But in space, your eyeballs are floating in your head. So we have to give our astronauts eye drops most of the time. Yeah. Wow. So it gets very interesting and very creepy when you think about it, that everything inside of you is floating.
Yeah. Well, how does he get a runny nose?
You can't. There's no point of sinuses.
So it doesn't happen. There's no
Nope, there's no dust.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, there's no dust, there's no pollen, there's no wind.
Sign me up.
Yeah, think of it as very much a nice clean room. It's
I'll
very
take
much
the
a clean
holes in
room.
my bones for the sinuses. That's awesome.
I hear you. I had a horrible allergy attack last week, and it's just been like it's snowing pollen here in Maryland. Actually, we have the cicada problem here now. So,
Oh wow!
so
it's all a buzz. Ooh.
Oh, it's very loud here.
I
It's
kind of miss
incredible.
that. Like we used to have that in Arizona, and there's nothing like that. You know, all I got is seagulls.
Take them. No, take the
Okay.
take the cicadas. I'll send them all to you.
I've been sending a lot of posts on Facebook about people wanting the husks from the cicadas for art, and I'm like, that's cool. It's a cool repurpose, but I mean, you do you. I mean,
Yeah, I will stay inside. Thank you very much.
They're kind of cool looking creatures. I mean, like
They're cool from afar. They're very annoying when I'm trying to work and in my home office here, my screen window will just have cicadas just latching themselves on and just screaming into the room. And it's just like, come on, guys. Like, I'm on.
You can see their little faces.
Their big red eyes.
I was going to say, we have cicadas in Montana too, but definitely not like that.
They
I
vary.
really like them, but
They
I
vary.
don't know
They
that
vary.
I would if they were
Yeah,
that.
this
We
is
had
brood
those
10.
ones.
Yeah, this is brood 10, so it's only every
Right,
17 years. And they'll be gone in like 3 weeks. And
Yep.
it'll be peaceful and quiet.
Supposedly ours is next year.
Good. I mean,
big
oh
boom.
no.
Hey, I actually like them because I'm one of those weirdos that Kyle was just talking about. I cast little bugs that I find in resin to make really, really cool, like glass clear containers for them, and they're really cool.
Okay.
And I only do it ethically, so it takes forever to find enough to actually do it. So.
Yeah.
Come on down. There's thousands.
He's got some for you. I wanted to be an entomological illustrator, so yeah, I was all over that.
Yeah, I love bugs.
Me too.
I'm a big fan of all things living.
Yeah.
So Theo, what you need to do is get one of those husks and have it gilded in silver or gold.
I've seen people do that, and they electroplate it.
They're pretty neat.
Yeah, there's a guy here in Colorado. He's been,
We're not sending you that necklace, okay? As a memento of the podcast is not coming.
Just send me a piece of gravel. I'll be thankful.
But yeah, let's go ahead and go on the words of wisdom, unless anyone else has any other questions for Caitlin before we get into that. Anyone?
I'll go because I don't have any like good words of wisdom this week, so I'll go first and let actual meaningful words of wisdom go after me.
And
If you're ever bored, just go onto YouTube and look up space stuff, and you will be entertained for months, if not years. Like, there's so much cool stuff, and I have gone down so many rabbit holes. Like the entirety of Smarter Everyday's channel, for example, he has so many space topics. Like, actually, going back to what you were talking about, Caitlin, the working out equipment in space like was this huge, crazy like undertaking, because how do you lift weights in an environment where everything is weightless? So like, yeah, Destin has a video on that, and like, it's just awesome. I already said he has the video on how the Mars rovers actually collect material. So my words of wisdom this week is, I guess, go subscribe to Smarter Every Day.
That's awesome. Karen.
Okay. Keep dreams alive. Like I was talking about at the beginning with my dad, and he came home with these posters, and he's like, this is what I was working on this whole time. And here's the robot's hand in the sand of Mars. And I just like would go to bed looking at this poster and dreaming of Mars and listening to Carl Sagan and, just letting my mind just float out there into the cosmos. And so keep those dreams alive. They're there, and people like Caitlin are plucking them out of the sky for us. So there you go. Next.
Kurt?
I don't really have anything good. A word of wisdom, really. So I'll
It
stick
can't
with.
be worse than mine. I just plugged Smarter every day, who is in no way affiliated with us. That's how much I love that channel.
I don't really have anything good, but I'll stick with the normal, which was in my mind and just blew out. So someone else go. I'll go in a minute. I can't remember what I was going to say.
Kaylin,
Words
we can
of
go with
wisdom.
you.
Someone else go.
Kaylin, you want to go for yours?
Sure. Okay. My word of wisdom is that Pluto is still a planet.
Yes.
Boom.
There. Boom. There we go.
You heard it straight from NASA.
I was telling Kyle earlier, is Pluto plays by its own rules. So go be Pluto.
Oh, I
Yes.
like that.
That's so much better than mine.
Oh, wow. We need that shirt. That's a shirt.
Make that
Go
a
be
shirt.
Pluto.
Be more
Yeah.
like Pluto.
I was telling Kyle that's pretty much how the whole reclassification thing came about. Is the Mercury all the way out to Neptune kind of plays on the same soccer field, and Pluto comes in and decides to play water polo in the middle of the soccer field. It's just kind of like, what's up? I'm here. So
Yeah.
what if
Get
I
rid
have
of
a
me.
different orbit? What are you gonna do about it? So go be
Man, I
Pluto.
kind of like Pluto now.
Yes.
Yeah.
More Pluto people. Yes.
Kurt, do you still need any more time, or do you want me to go ahead and go for
I'll just go. It's something, I guess, it's related to Rock County, but also kind of not. But also kind of related with like coming into summer and so forth. When you're out in Rock County, if you go out on some like camping adventures for Rock County and so forth, and you are building a fire for camping and so forth, make sure you put it out. And also, just because with the high temperatures, I was reading recently that we are getting a hotter heat waves coming across the U.S., and temperatures are going up over the hundreds or 100-degree area, and just be extra careful about sparks and anything that could start a fire. So
That's a
yeah.
good one.
Yeah, it's true too. I mean, Montana this time of year in June, it's usually like 80s. We'll hit 90s, maybe low 90s a couple times. I mean, we've already had like 5 or 6 100-degree or warmer days this summer, and that's crazy for this time of year in Montana.
Yeah.
In August it happens a lot, but never in
58
June.
degrees.
Yeah, it's been miserably hot in Montana so far this summer.
Wow.
Yeah, no, that's a really good one.
I was just gonna say, like, out here in Parachute, this is I've only been here for about a year, but like from what I've heard from talking with locals and stuff, out in this area, it generally gets the hottest about in like the mid to high 90s. It very rarely gets over 100, and this last week was this all around 105, and
Wow.
so yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Sucks.
So
Well, I guess. Go. Sorry.
no, I was gonna push it off to you. So the awkward silence.
No. Hey, it's only awkward if you make it awkward.
I know.
Yeah, I need to be better about having mine ready like way in advance. But I'm again playing out the seat of my pants here, and I'm gonna say if you're having a hard time getting motivated and you're just kind of in a lull, go find a motto that would really suit kind of where you're at in life right now and kind of stick to it. A motto that I always kind of go back to is Lego's motto is only the best is good enough. And that's kind of the motto I always think about whenever I'm making a project is it's, only the best is good enough. And if it doesn't meet my standards, then it's not good enough to show. So go find a motto. That's mine.
Bravo.
I love that. Actually, when me and my dad worked in a cabinet shop together, what we would always say when working on stuff is good enough ain't good enough.
Yep.
So yeah, I
heard
love
that.
Only the best is good enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you, Caitlin, for reaching out to Kurt and to be on the podcast. You're actually our first non-YouTube channel, to the least that I know of. I mean, you could have a secret channel, but
she's actually PewDiePie.
What? Oh gosh.
Sorry.
I do know a little bit of Swedish, so.
How good are you in Minecraft?
Not at all.
But yeah, we appreciate being here on the podcast. We definitely would love to have you back. And
yes.
Yeah, I'm sure
more
you have
space stories. Yay!
Yes. Anytime.
Go ahead, Kurt.
I was just gonna say it's been a real blast, like hearing all the stories and just all the information that you were telling us. Like I've learned so much tonight that I didn't even know like existed. So like, thank you very much.
Seriously.
You're welcome.
It was a far out experience.
Yes.
Had to.
You did.
I'll keep the dad jokes to a minimum, but
No.
next time I'll make sure they're out of this world.
There you go.
Okay, that's no more jokes.
All right, that's my quota for this episode.
Karen, do you want to go ahead and lead us out, or?
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in again to the Rockhound podcast, and please leave us any questions for Caitlin or any of us in the comments, and definitely let us know where you're tuning in from. Like I said, from terra firma or from without would be great. And keep on rocking, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for coming.
See you later.
Good night.